let's perhaps go into those matchups at the moment. Um, you look at that top order, you look at the changes, Pommy, in terms of the opposition that they're facing. That middle order really is the Indian players, whether it's in the context of an auction or whatever it is. They're the ones who really need to step up, and the gulf in the batting experience is what really is a telling is something telling. You've got Kohli, Padikkal on the one hand, and if you just have a look at this comparison, that itself tells a story. We've been going on about the likes of Riyan Parag and Lomror and company, etc. Just look at the T20 caps and the comparison on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, the middle order of RCB is packed with internationals, and they have a great deal of experience. And the crazy thing for me is, in terms of making replacements as the Rajasthan Royals, it's not really been a case of let's make replacements that are going to be more balanced in terms of trying to get an order. So and then play them that way. Generally, what you get from the Rajasthan Royals is up at the top, you have Jos Buttler, you have his teammate in, Ben Stokes. I'd forgotten his name. Do you know that? I'd just gone out of my mind right there. Yes, you have Ben Stokes, and then another teammate in Jofra Archer, right? And what you have when you kind of go that route is that you've got sort of all the bases covered. You've got the middle, you got the top, and you got the bottom. But what happened with Ben Stokes is that they decided he was going to bat up at the top as well, and so it left this chasm in the middle. And because of that chasm in the middle, there's been this problem now of how do we sort out the middle order. I would say it's the most difficult place to play in the 2020 game. Just like in the one-day game where guys are walking at 5 and 6 and have to sort games out, in the 2020 game, batting from over 7 to over 14, 15, that's very difficult. How does a side keep their momentum there? So I think that's where you need experience, not young Indian players. And not because they're not talented, but at least give them something. Use a Miller, play him more than one game and then toss him out. Play him a few games and say, we need you in this middle part to hold it together and move it along like we need. And then their team would be better balanced.
Interestingly, Joy, we talked about this the other day. The numbers actually were not so bad for Rajasthan. We were comparing different teams playing from 7 to 15, and they were actually doing pretty decently there. So they've not done so badly, but it's obviously along with that, losing wickets, not having someone to finish after that is what I think their problem has been.
Yeah, and remember, when you were talking about 7 to 15, if Sanju Samson has got runs, he's batting at 7 to 15.
Correct.
So he's there. So that's why he's one of the guys who's a natural striker of the ball. He's never had trouble scoring runs. His strike rate at the worst of times has been excellent because as a player he lacked consistently, but he is one of the few players, and why he's unique in probably even in the Indian setup is he can get you runs under any circumstances. I mean, whether he sticks around the crease or not is a different matter. And I think what Pommy said is very true. You need the experienced international guys there. If they had a solid international talent at 6, who'd say, okay, I can slow it down. I'll take a few singles because, we got a low score, but I can whack it to the end. They need that, that number 6. They need a gun cricketer there. And instead they have this really raw talent.
Sorry, Joe. So I look at it the other way. You need an Indian player there. An experienced, you imagine that. You imagine an experienced Indian player in the middle of that order. Then you can go with whoever you like in terms of internationals. And there's less to sort out. It's just how it is. There's just going to be less to sort out. And your team then has that balance.
Well, we'll try and see if we can
sort also another names. Thing I want to say. Yeah, absolutely. And one other thing, you see, you have a coach like Sangakkara. Sangakkara has been handed a plate with food on it, with players on it. These are not the players he asked for. So tactically, he's looking at it and saying, okay, I've got to do with whatever I have right now. So very often you can see his frustration outside because he really doesn't have the team. So he's also looking at this team and wondering, how much can I do to get a good result this year and really go out full hog at the auction next year? I think that's how he's looking at it as well, saying that we need to surround Sanju with more pieces that give them value.